Howdy from Studio A in Texas, USA. Welcome to In Wheel Time, the award-winning all things automotive car talk show. On today's 2-hour program, summer car things to do, from car events to car racing. We're going to talk to the locals because we know them, but also give you ideas where to look in your neck of the woods for car events going on. Inside our new car showroom is the all-electric Chevy Bolt and the all-new 2021 Kia Seltos. We'll give you an in-depth review of each of those. We've got this week's automotive news and our weekly Ram Tracks and Jeep Trails features. All that and more just ahead on today's two minutes in one 2-hour In Wheel Time car show for Saturday, June 20th, 2020. Howdy, along with Mike out of this world Mars down there. And the team colors are showing through over here because next to him is Mr. King Conrad DeLong. I'm Don Armstrong. So glad that you could join us today. Gentlemen, a pleasant Saturday morning to you. Did you just put rabbit ears behind his head? You did.
No. I reached over here. I was going like great minds think alike. You didn't get the memo about the shirts.
I don't actually have a white shirt. I think I used it to polish the car one day and kind of ruined it.
It's kind of discolored a little bit.
Well, yeah, it is.
But anything's worth cleaning your Corvette, right?
Sure.
So, and the Corvette's sitting out there at the moment.
I know. It's got a little clutch problem that I'm dealing with.
Feeling a little bit of pain.
Yeah, and Jeff and I actually worked an hour and a half yesterday morning on the clutch. I bought a thing from Lingenfelter Performance, and it was an additional clutch return spring because apparently C5s and C6 Corvettes are known for putting the clutch in and it not coming back off the floor.
Yes.
So I thought, well, I'll give that a shot. So $100 later, I get this beautiful little package thing in the mail. And Jeff and I spent an hour and a half destroying the bottom half of the dash to get this spring attached with a clip underneath. We got it all in. Took it for a test drive, and yep, that clutch pedal comes right off of the floor. The problem is the clutch
doesn't go down far enough to disengage now.
No, that's not the issue, but it does not disengage the clutch. There's something else going on with the clutch, and we're going to get to that. As a matter of fact, I was talking to Troy Dixon, who's standing by.
Going to join us here.
Yeah, he's going to join us here in just a minute, and he's got me a couple of places lined up that is going to help me, I hope. Get this clutch issue settled. And then maybe, just maybe, while it's in the shop, I'm going to get the air conditioning fixed. And I say that with a question mark because I have a feeling that it's going to take
the control head.
It's going to be something going on in the dashboard or the control, whatever it is.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not, but
because those control heads can be quite expensive, and then it takes some programming.
Listen, here's what I found out about the Corvette. Everything is expensive, so there is that.
Well, you haven't had to put tires on it yet, have you?
No.
Oh, wait till you think that everything else is expensive. Wait till you put tires on that thing.
Can we stop now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. Thank you.
But we could talk to somebody who knows a lot of things about Corvettes.
Yes, we can. And matter of fact, we are, because on our Zoom feed today, we have with us to start the whole thing about things to do is Mr. Troy Dixon with Houston Performance Driving. Troy, it's always good to see you, and thanks for joining us. Oh, I guess I need to turn him on.
Probably might want to turn his mic on.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, now I got your microphone on. Now we can hear you. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
So for those people that don't know, why don't we start off and explain to everybody what Houston Performance Driving is?
Sure, absolutely. Houston Performance Driving, we call it HPD for short, not to be confused with the thin blue line there. We started out in 2002 as a small group, kind of like almost like a fraternity group. It wasn't necessarily a car club.
I don't think the fraternity aspect of it has gone away.
No. It's only gotten bigger, which is great. And so back then, though, back almost 18 years ago, it was mainly a bunch of guys that did have Corvettes, and it was outside looking in, it was conceived as a Corvette conglomerate. But that was just because everybody kind of had the same taste in that small core.
What was
And
popular then?
It was. And that group was very, very active. So that group, we met every Tuesday night for what we call Tuesday night dinner. And so not only did you do things out in the field with the vehicles, you also got to know people socially over dinner, which is, can really be a glue for what we were doing. And so we were also doing a lot of drag nights, drag days at the local tracks. We were also doing a lot of HPDEs. We were doing night meets, dyno days, photo shoots.
Did you do any road racing?
Yes, I particularly, that's actually my favorite thing to do. So I was road racing with North America Road Racing Association for about 3 years. And I was first doing it in a 2004 E46 BMW M3. And then I bought my second Z06, a C6 Z06, and kind of just made the leap over into the bigger engine car and enjoyed that. So I was racing, doing like time trials and things like that with old Viper days. So I was racing against the Vipers and the Porsches in the Z06.
So is it mainly guys? Do you have some gals in there too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We do. We actually had a good core of girls, females, drivers, and a lot of them, even the married couples and things like that, they both have their own car and they participate. So it's a very good co-eded group. So we're very happy about that. And the girls that roll in HPD are very knowledgeable, very aggressive. We've had some females now that have actually gone on to like our good friend Stephanie Simo, who was in our core group, left to go to California, was racing ZR1s, racing Ferrari, Lamborghini.
Wow. Well, we've had Stephanie on the show a couple of times,
very good.
And I think
we miss her.
She was kind of playing in the Trans Am arena for a period of time as well.
Yeah, I keep up with her. Her birthday was just a couple of weeks ago too, so we always definitely catch up during that time. But we do have a lot of really nice ladies, that participate. And we're very grateful for them.
So, Troy, I've got to ask you, I know all car clubs have meets per se, and meets can mean many things. And I know back in the day there were those meetings that were about as boring as the day is long, because we all want to enjoy our times together in the car, either going on road trips or going to the drag strip or going to a road course somewhere, being involved with the car. And I think that's kind of what you guys are really up to, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. We have a high tempo of events. Obviously, it's kind of been a little bit hit and miss with the COVID situation. But we, like our Corvette group now, has HPD progressed. It became a lot of different things. It became Camaro, Viper, Supra, Porsche, BMW, and it got into the upper echelon chassis. But that core group would travel to Bowling Green, for example, and
Z06 Fest, right?
How fun. Yeah. That's the fun part, because not only do you all get to caravan all the way up to Bowling Green or to San Antonio or to Austin or wherever it is, but you also get to actually have dinner together, have fun together.
Exactly.
It's like
it brings a good camaraderie.
Become friends. Yeah.
Because when you're traveling together, you get to know people better. It's just like sitting over a table of food or something. If somebody needs help, you're there to help, guide, and then you have that fun together. And that's a glue that brings those folks together. And those relationships are still strong to this day.
And then when you got somebody like me riding along in that caravan and has a clutch problem, you've got somebody else to lean on and say, where can we go within a couple of miles of where we are out here in the middle of nowhere to get this clutch fixed?
Exactly. So that's what's good. You have all those collective minds to come up with a solution for that problem.
Well, and there was a point in time where early in HPD where you guys would kind of go over to somebody's shop or somebody's house as well. And because I remember you guys going over to Randy's and you lowered everybody's car.
Right. Yeah, we would do situations like that where so the Tuesday night dinners, were obviously a hit, but we'd also have like little, smaller meets for people that were wanting to do little tweaks, changing out wheels, tires. But there was a lot of times too when the the C5s and the C6s came out, you could lower those vehicles on what they call the stock bolts. And we would go over there, and Randy had done it. Randy Broughton had done that several times on several of his cars. So everybody's like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so we'd go over there in like 10, 15, 20 Corvettes, and, and we would just sit there and do it until wee hours of the night until everybody got their car lowered.
How fun. Well, but that's what it's all about. So when is the next event? Whatever it is, when's the next event for HPD?
The next event, we just had our last Twin Peaks meet on June 14th. Which was a super success, and it was great because I think everybody was chomping at the bit to get to do something. But our next one is going to be July 26th at the Woodlands Twin Peaks. So that's our end of the month meet we've been hosting for actually 6 years now.
Oh, and you're a little shy about mentioning the June 14th meet. That was Troy's 43rd birthday.
Yes, sir. It was my 43rd birthday. Yeah, it was a great experience because they got to have all my friends, and most of my friends come from Houston Performance Driving, again, because the relationships that have been formed over the years. But at the same time, it was good just to get out of the house. It was good to see all those old faces. It was good to see some new faces. It was good to, get out, and it wasn't that hot. It was a little bit warm, but, it wasn't unbearable. But, again, we got to eat together and catch up and see how everybody was doing. And we got to see a lot of nice cars, and, just that experience that, the people coming and going and seeing, again, newer cars that maybe have heard about HPD and, they wanted to come out and experience it. But then, of course, you get into that Twin Peaks is particularly large, just like the largest Twin Peaks in Houston. And it has a deck that peninsulas out into the parking lot. So you can stand on that elevated deck and look out over that parking lot. And it's just like, it's the best, other than looking at Twin Peaks girls, it's the best thing you can look at. So,
I knew it was going to get there.
So Troy stands on the deck and looks out over his minions.
Yeah, exactly. And not only that, let me remind everybody of this. Troy is now of the age that those girls could be his daughter.
Oh,
had to go there.
I don't feel 43.
You don't act 43 either.
No, not at all.
But the cool thing about HPD, and I've been a member, well, not a member because there's no membership involved, but I've been involved with them since 2006, and I've made some real good friends through even today that I still consider to be very good friends. It's not just about
Do
the
they
cars.
consider you friends?
Yeah, well, I hope so.
Well, I think they do because Conrad was our go-to person for a long time because when we met Conrad, he was a field engineer for GM, and we were heavily GM populated.
Oh, yeah.
And I still remember Conrad's call sign or username on the forum, which was Jim Engine Ear. And it is because that he had the ear for the engines, and people, once that word got out, we have a GM field engineer on the forum, and I'm sure Conrad probably got bombarded with a lot of questions at that time.
Well, he's still getting bombarded.
Yeah, and I still remember getting a few things fixed over time. The funniest thing was Jack Salvaggio's the gray the silver Corvette he had. So he was having a problem with it, and I told him to bring it to a certain Chevy dealership here in town, and he rolls it in, and he's got these two, 50-pound nitrous tanks in the back window. It looked like it was scuba tanks sitting in the back. Yeah. And I mean, heavily modified car, and it was a problem that didn't have anything to do with the modifications, but most dealerships would have told them to bring it somewhere else.
So on Facebook, it's Houston Performance Driving, and you can get all the information there.
Yes, sir. So we have our group page. So that's the group page that says Houston Performance Driving HPD, this logo. And that allows our membership and our members and new people and our sponsors, or if you're like looking for something kind of like you had asked earlier about, hey, I'm having this particular issue. Can anybody recommend a shop? And, everybody can kind of chime in and guide you in that direction and correspond between the member base.
Gotcha.
So you want to join that group page, and then you want to like our fan page. And then so once you like that fan page, that is how you're going to get the notifications of all of our events. And you'll get a notification, and you'll be able to get onto that event page then and correspond there and see the updates and see what's unfolding for our future events.
No surprise to you, but I want everything. Okay.
And that's one of the
Yes, you
great
do, Dom.
and that's one of the great things about HPD is they have a variety of cars and vehicles that are involved, because it's not just the modern muscle of the 911s, the Corvettes, the Supras and stuff. There's classic cars that show up to these. There's a bunch of bikes, there's a bunch of trucks, a bunch of Jeeps. It's just everybody that's got an automotive enthusiast heart can get involved with stuff that's going on at HPD.
Troy, thanks so much for joining us today. It's great to talk to you. Great to see you. And
Yes,
hopefully I will see you when I get the clutch fixed in July.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you.
All right, man. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Troy Dixon with Houston Performance Driving. A review of the all-electric Chevy Bolt is coming up next on the In Wheel Time Car Show after this quick break.
Get excited, race fans. NASCAR is coming to Houston Motorsports Park, and they're ready to kick off Houston racing with the NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Series. The fun begins this Saturday, June 20th, when the Texas Short Track Racers return. Be there for a great night of racing and $1 beer and dollar sodas. NASCAR racing in Houston begins this Saturday. Visit NASCARHouston.com for details. Pre-purchase tickets at racedayprepay.com. That's racedayprepay.com. On social media, look for the hashtag NASCAR Houston.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions, don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hey, thank you for joining us for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. We usually have a couple of cars in our new car showroom. We do one each hour of our 2-hour show. In this hour, I get to talk about the 2020 Chevrolet Bolt. Not the Volt, but the Bolt. They don't make the Volt anymore.
Oh, that's right.
And the Volt was a dual mode hybrid. The Bolt is a pure EV.
Yeah.
Plug it in and drive. There's nowhere to put gasoline in it.
No, there's nowhere to put gasoline in it.
Did you have range anxiety, Don?
Oh, my God. Every time I get one of these, I always have range anxiety, and I shouldn't, but I do.
But you never had a problem until you had the one that wouldn't charge.
It wouldn't charge. It would not charge. Anyway, so let's forget all about that. This is a new day. It's a new car. The 2020 Chevy Bolt comes in 2 trim levels, starts with the LT, and then goes to the Premier. I had the Premier. It's called the EV Premier. What class, what size? It's considered by the government as a small station wagon. In our mind, it's got a small SUV tag on it. Seats up to 5 passengers. It was all new in 2017. I didn't realize that it's almost 4 years old now. Exterior features, a door stopper front end on it. In other words, the windshield is at the same angle as the what? Oh, they're making it. Okay, it's the same angle as the hood. Attractive, but again, the windshield and the hood at the same angle. Front grills have contrasting dark and light colors to give the appearance of an open grill. Very clever paintwork on the front of it. Nice front fascia, long wheelbase, and very short overhangs. I don't know what we're watching here. What are we watching?
It's the video from Chevrolet.
They're making it.
They're making it. Okay. Well, at any rate, what I liked about it, overall attractive look. What could use improvement? I don't know. I have no clue.
Well, more range in the batteries, but that's the tight
the technology.
Yeah,
thing
the technology
for
on
the whole segment.
that's going to have to
we're
happen.
looking at the car being made. Love that. Interior highlights. It has a white dash accent panel that was way too much for me.
Too bright, too reflective?
No,
Too weird.
Well, as one person said, it looks like somebody's kitchen in here.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely.
With white appliances?
Yeah, just very
It was very
stark.
different. It was different.
It could have been Harvest Gold or Avocado Green, like some of the other kitchens I've seen.
Well, I used to have both of those, as a matter of fact, at one time. It did have nice fabric, leather surfaces, a large touch screen in the middle of it, lots of room for its size. What I liked about it, the hatch opening, big enough to swallow a steamer trunk.
And were you comfortable in the car? Because you're a tall guy.
Yeah, it was.
You know,
Yeah, it
considering
was.
this is considered a subcompact.
It is, but it actually had room in the back seat. I don't understand how they did all that, but whatever. What could use improvement? I felt that GM Chevy could have improved some of the plastic parts, the quality of the plastic parts, but I could find that with almost any car that's made today.
Right.
Drivetrain, well, it's got one single electric motor that basically turns out 200 horsepower in our world. That's not the way they really measure it.
No,
266 pound-feet of torque. It doesn't have a transmission.
No.
And what it has is an electric motor, and it zooms up to whatever speed you want it
all
to.
the torque's at the hit of the throttle.
So here is the miles per gallon rating. Sitting down, miles per gallon city, 127 miles per gallon city. E.
How do they measure that per gallon E?
Highway 108 mpg E for a combined of 118 E. Well, it doesn't show up that way on the dashboard. I got 3.7 miles per kilowatt hour.
Okay.
Now, I have a daughter that could go, oh, well, that is, 126 miles
And
per
she
gallon.
doesn't need a calculator.
No.
That just happens in her head.
That was over 301.9 miles, just saying.
But it went 300 miles with you.
Constantly worried and constantly plugged in.
But did you have to?
Yes, I would have had to at least for a day or two, an overnight or two.
Well,
but
I
I did
can
it
see-
every night.
I could see overnight, but they're supposed to go well past 200 miles on a full charge.
So here's the odd thing. Here's the very odd thing. So when you plug it in on the dashboard instrument cluster, it says, okay, you want a full charge? Well, fine, it's going to take you 2 days and 7 minutes.
Okay. So it gives you an estimate.
But I had it plugged into 110.
Right.
That's not the way a typical owner would do it.
Right.
They would have I think it's
220.
a 240, I think
240.
it is. 240 volt amplifier.
And then some
Put in
places
the
have a
house.
440 charger.
That's at the grocery store.
Right. Well, at the dealerships as well.
Yeah.
They have charge
So,
stations.
whatever.
Well, one of the things you mentioned that you didn't realize that the Bolt was being sold since 2017. It was being sold regionally back then, so it was sold generally in those markets of New York, San Francisco, L.A.
There's a high concentration.
Washington.
I mean,
Well, all city driving stuff.
exactly. Texas is not real good for that kind of driving.
Okay, so new this year, they've increased the battery capacity to a 259-mile
Right,
range.
right.
Okay, so that's per charge if you feathered it going 259 miles away.
Really-
You stomp the accelerator pedal, which we call the accelerator pedal. If you stomp it a lot, no, it's not going to go 259 miles.
Yeah, or you're out there cruising the highway at 80 miles an hour.
What could use improvement? Range anxiety. EPA estimates Bolt charge time at 10 hours at 240 volts. So if you have no charge on it, you have to plug it in to 240 volts for 10 hours. Okay, what I liked about it, great to commute with.
Oh, absolutely.
You go back and forth from Sugar Land to downtown Houston.
Cost you nothing.
35 miles. It will cost you. But you can
Electricity.
get on an electricity plan that you can set the timer on the car to take the electricity from your house when you don't get charged for electricity in the overnight period. There are
Okay,
those
well, that makes
electric
sense.
companies out there.
If you understand how to play the
plan,
game.
yeah.
Okay, here's the downer. Base trim price $41,000. Prices tested $43,735. Base model price $36,620. Tesla 3 $37,990. Hyundai Kona EV $37,190. Kia Niro EV $39,761. But I can go right down to the corner gas station and buy gasoline for my 25 to 35 mile per gallon car at $2 or less a gallon. So you have to do the math. Is that what you really want?
Well, then you have to take in consideration, are you worried about the environment? You're worried about a lot of other things on the surface, because then if you really get into it, what did it cost to build that battery?
Let's not get into it.
Well, there's an emotional reason for some people to buy a pure EV.
Sure.
And manufacturers have to feed all of those different emotions. Somebody who drives a pure EV is not going to want a C8 Corvette when they release the Z06 version of it. I do. I'd rather have the Corvette than the EV, but again,
That's me,
all the different manufacturers have to meet all of those different needs for different customers.
Exactly.
And
Okay, have we stretched this out far enough now?
hopefully.
Okay, because we need to take a break. We got more of the In Wheel Time show coming right up after this.
Let's be honest. The National Symphony may not be in his future, but he wanted to try violin. So you said yes because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more about keeping your kids safe in your vehicle at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Show him you love him. Keep him safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so we should all stay home to lower the risk for everyone. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
So I've had a terrible faux pas, and the pages that I go by as to what is coming up next on the show were attached to the car review, and I couldn't find them, and it's all my fault.
Just tell me what you need, Don. I'm here to take care of you, bud.
You don't want to know.
I don't want to know for sure.
Anything.
No, just to
Anything
torture
for
you, I'm going to let you know. There's that.
Somebody help me.
So I think it's time for us to do the events calendar, but I did want to remind everybody that the In Wheel Time car show streams on facebook.com/InWheelTime, on YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcast, and what we do is we break up the show, so the show is in 30-minute segments, so while you're in your car commuting in your Chevy Bolt downtown, you can listen to all 4 segments of the show. We try to post those, like one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, so there you go. It's also Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcast, TuneIn, Google Podcast, Podcast Addict, and all of that. Okay, time now for the events calendar.
And today's show is pretty much all about events, is why we're going to have different folks on. Well, Richard Tomlin and the SCCA, they're down at Gulf Greyhound Park right now doing Solo 2 racing. Tonight at 5 p.m. is the Jeep night at 3 Acres in Santa Fe. At 6 p.m. is at Freddy's Steak Burgers Cruisin' in Magnolia. At 10 p.m. in Baytown at Cars and Vapor at Vapor 3. Tomorrow is the Father's Day Car Show out at Traders Village. There's another Father's Day Car Show in the Woodlands at Grace Woodlands Church, and that starts at 8 a.m., and that's at 24400 North Freeway. Also tomorrow is at 12 p.m. is the Classics at the Courthouse in Anderson, Texas. And then finally, Sunday night at Freddy's on 1960 in Eldridge is another meeting.
There's plenty to do.
All around the city.
And I guess what the point that we're trying to make on today's show is the fact, things to do, is that you, in your area, you can always Google search the car events in your area. Car events close to me.
Right. And then as well as Nifty 50s, I believe, is on tonight, depending on weather. You know, all of these depend on weather. I know Nifty 50s is gone every other weekend, so they were on the 6th. So they should be on the 20th.
And let me also just say that there are car clubs that, whether or not,
whether or not,
whether or not,
funny.
you know, they take the family car and they go to a steak burger place or a hamburger or a barbecue place and meet up just as friends. So there's always that. All right. Hey, calling all car, truck, and Jeep clubs. We'd love to feature your bunch in the Car Club Spotlight. Just shoot us an email to info@inwheeltime.com. Please include your contact information. We'll get your bunch on our show. In Wheel Time continues after this snappy little break.
Do you know what teens just love? Not being told what you're supposed to love. That's not anyone's business but yours. It doesn't matter what you love, but if you love it, click it. That includes you too. Because in 2018, 42% of Texas teens who died in traffic crashes were not wearing their seatbelts. Make sure everyone is buckled up. Every rider, every ride. Brought to you by the Texas Department of Transportation.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com. Welcome to America's award-winning car talk show, In Wheel Time, your weekly go-to all things automotive place. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. So glad you could join us on this Saturday. Weather in the Houston area is kind of iffy today. We had showers actually overnight and a couple of thunderstorms, and I understand that there's a good chance of more of that later on this afternoon and into this evening. And we're going to touch base with Gina Schall-Knowles about tonight's event at Houston Motorsports Park for the Circle Track race that you hear promoted on our show today. And we're hoping that all of that comes to fruition.
Everything dries out.
Yeah. Well, the grass infield over there doesn't do well in wet.
There's grass in the infield?
There actually is, part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at any rate. So joining us now, longtime friend of the show, his name is Randy Shannon. And Randy, it's always good to see you and to talk to you. And thank you for joining us today, sir.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine, Uncle Donnie. It's good to be with you guys and see that you're all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and got your toys out, just like mine. And so,
well, we actually, all of us got up about 3 o'clock because, you know, at our age, we can't sleep anymore. So,
well,
and I know that you can relate to that.
I certainly can.
Yeah.
Certainly can.
So
you're afraid to go to sleep because you want to make sure you wake up.
That's right. There's always that. You got to worry about that.
Yeah. So, Randy, do you have an event tonight?
Yes, we do. We're scheduled for one, and as you know, and you live in Houston or in the Gulf Coast, you're always going to have the threat of rain. No matter when you plan it, it's always that possibility.
So, I wanted to tell everybody that, you know, Randy's, we talked to Troy Dixon with HPD, and his age group is somewhere around 30 to 50. That's his age group. Right, and he's got streetable, for the most part, streetable performance cars. Randy, on the other hand, is a car show, a cruise-in car show that happens quite frequently on a Saturday night up in the Woodlands. But Randy's show pretty much tends to stay under, what is it now, 1980 and younger?
Yeah, so our forte has always been 79 and under.
79 and under.
Okay, but we do let in cars that are 25 years old or older if they want to come in. We don't sign them up as a total registered car, but they can participate. We're not trying to eliminate anybody, but there's several things we have to keep in mind at all times, is not to overcrowd the parking lot. We don't want to lose our lease. And so we are always welcoming everybody 79 and under are always welcome. And then when we have the capabilities of taking in more, we will, because we want everybody to enjoy Nifty 50s.
Well, I think one of the things, too, Randy, is that I really wanted to point out with you is that if you don't have a classic car from 79 under, you can always go It doesn't cost anything to wander the parking lot. It's a great time for family time.
Oh, yeah.
You take the kids. You got something to do on a Saturday night. It doesn't cost you anything. You can talk to the people that own the cars.
They're happy to talk to you as well.
That's
they
what
want
they
to
want.
talk about.
We all want to talk about our cars.
You know, and you'll have 100 to 150 cars out there at any given Saturday night.
Yeah. So it's a nice collection of driver cars. I mean, these cars are driven to this event. Yeah, it's a cruise-in.
Well, as time progresses, we're pushing nearly 20 years of doing Nifty 50s now. It's been a long haul, Donnie. And a lot of things change over a 20-year period of time, as with history and life and everything else.
And hair color.
Yes, hair color is one of them. If you have hair left. So things are going to change, and car shows are no exception. I mean, things just happen. It's out of our control. We have a lot of people that are out of the classic car business. Maybe they have passed on the cars. The last show we had, a couple of cars came to the show that I haven't seen in a long time, but they showed up with different drivers. Yeah, and well, hey, I remember this car. Well, yeah, he passed on. So unfortunately, that's life. It's going to happen. But the thing is, we try to keep it regenerating for the future riders and classic car people to pick up where they left off.
And if people want to come see a cool car, there's always some awesome cool cars up there. You know, a lot of the Tri-5 Chevys will show up, a good selection of Corvettes and older Mustangs. But the last one I was at, that Brubaker box was there again.
Yes.
And what a cool little car that is.
It's amazing. We have people that's been coming to Nifty 50s for as long as I have started this thing. And, of course, there's, on the other hand, a lot of people who have come and gone. So it's just part of the game, and we've dedicated ourselves to try to preserve our American history with our classic cars and hot rods from the mid-century. The overwhelming response we get from spectators and visitors is just, hey, this is awesome. These are the cars you don't see any longer on the roads, and that's a good point. So when we try to bring them all together and have a social event, and everybody has the same interest in the classic cars, and they enjoy the good time oldies we play, it goes right along with the mid-century. And we have about 20,000 oldies in our machine now. Even have your song, Conrad. So next time you're out, I'll play it for you.
I'm afraid to even ask, what is his song?
Well, it's
some RuPaul song or what?
No.
Mississippi Queen. Mississippi Queen.
Mississippi Queen.
A little mountain.
Well, it kind of goes along. Never mind.
No, with the RuPaul theme, yeah.
Yeah. So I look out for you, Conrad. So next time you bring your olds out there, we'll play it.
Oh, I will. It's still sitting in the garage with a flat tire.
Yeah.
I need to jack with it when I get home today. I've just been working.
Gentlemen, the thing is, I will be out there tonight for sure. I'm sure my help will be there as well. We're going to go ahead, and when it says it's going to rain in Houston, you don't know what part of Houston it's going to rain.
Yeah, Houston's pretty big.
The dilemma. It could rain in Katy. It could rain in South Houston. We don't know. So it's a huge area to cover when you say, and a lot of people judge on whether attending or not based on what the forecast said. It's going to be 50% chance of rain, but where? So last weekend we didn't get a drop, but it did hurt us a little bit because it rained on everybody else. So we will be there tonight, and the reason we cut back was the Corona scare. We had anticipated a very successful year. This year we opened up early in February, but all this hit us, and then the weather. I mean, we're always contending with Mother Nature or some other unforeseen circumstance.
So, Randy, tell us where Nifty 50s holds the meet.
All right, we're still at Grogan's Mill Village in the Woodlands. It's right on the cusp between Spring and the Woodlands. We're on the south side of the Woodlands. That's at 2250 Buckthorn, Buckthorne place. That is the Grogan's Mill Village Center. We lease the parking lot there so that we have the rights to be there and provide a place for classic car people to come. Lots of eateries there, things to do. So we're having fun still. and we'll try to maintain this for as long as we possibly can, Uncle Donnie.
Well, Randy, it's always great to talk to you. Nifty 50s, the Saturday night cruise in. And what time does it get going tonight?
Well, summer months, we usually move it back to 6 till 10 because of the heat, the daylight hours are longer. So, in the fall and winter or whatever, we usually move it back up to 4 o'clock.
And if you want to, I would imagine that you don't have to come exactly at 6 o'clock. You could probably come at 7 or even 8.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a cruise in. People come when they want to. So some get there early and maybe leave earlier, and then some come later. So
the cars there for display have a designated parking spot. And when I was there last, it was every other spot, so you keep a little distance between people.
Right, we're still maintaining that right now. We're asking people to do that. Now we do have some groups that say no, we want to park together. That's fine. You're on your own risk there, but as a courtesy to everyone, and we asked everybody, spectators or participants, to give everybody some space. It is an outdoor event. But please don't go up and hug and kiss everybody you see.
I'll still give you a hug and a kiss, Randy.
Be sure I wear my armor, okay? So no, I'm just kidding with you guys. But hey, it's always a pleasure, Donnie, Conrad, Mike. It's always good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
Thanks for coming on,
Randy. We really appreciate it. Great to see you. Good luck tonight, and we'll talk to you soon. Randy Shannon with that's Randy Shannon. Shannon, with Nifty 50s, the Saturday night cruise in up in the Woodlands. All right, time now on In Wheel Time to take a look at our weekly feature, Ram Tracks, an inside look at the Ram Nation. Mr. Mars?
So we've been talking about different storage solutions, and looking at the Ram truck and trying to figure out some other additional things. I found this item, and there's a couple of them, but this particular one is from Undercover Swing Case. And what it is, there's that area in between your tailgate and your wheel well inside the bed. And it does nothing. So this case fits in there.
So it's a Don Armstrong.
Yeah.
It does nothing.
It goes up and it goes over the wheel well, and it'll hold 75 pounds worth of cargo. And to make it accessible, it's hinged. This particular one's hinged, so it'll swing out to make it easy to get to.
Oh, how smart is that?
And it's really a cool storage solution that you can add to your Ram truck. The case fits in there.
So it's a Don Armstrong.
Yeah.
It does nothing.
It goes up and it goes over the wheel well, and it'll hold 75 pounds worth of cargo. And to make it accessible, it's hinged. This particular one's hinged, so it'll swing out to make it easy to get to.
Oh, how smart is that?
It takes a space you're just not using much and utilizes it.
So you always fill it with adult beverages and swing it out. And
up to 75 pounds worth.
Up to 75 pounds.
75 pounds. What happens if you went to 80 pounds?
I don't know. We'll have to get one and try it.
Do that and tell me how it is. All right. Thank you, sir. Coming up, In Wheel Time continues after a quick break with Conrad's Car Clinic. Stay with us.
Are you ready for NASCAR Houston? NASCAR's Short Track Racing Series is coming to Houston Motorsports Park this Saturday night as Advance Auto Parts presents Back to the Track 2020. The Texas Short Track Racers are going to light up the pavement, and you can be there to see all the action up close and personal. And how does $1 beers, Cokes, and hot dogs sound? We're following all CDC guidelines, and we have extra sanitizing options on hand. Don't miss the NASCAR action this Saturday night. Visit NASCARHouston.com for details.
911, what's your emergency?
God, there's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still hasn't stopped. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
You know, he's wanted to do that since this show began. He's always wanted to do that.
Shake his head.
So I actually put that piece of music in the show.
Get a little electro metal.
Something like that, yeah. So I thought this is a Mars song.
No, he's a
Jimmy. And I appreciate it.
And all of our other long hair followers. Yeah. All right, time now for Conrad's Car Clinic, and you're doing the shake, rattle, and roll thing today?
Has Elvis Presley taken over your car? Does your car shake, rattle, and roll?
What exactly does that mean?
Well, a lot of times as cars age and as people drive them and damage them, they can do some suspension damage, some wheel damage, and you get these funky vibrations in your car. And some of those vibrations, if you really don't address them, it can cause things to become loose and create rattles in your car, affect the steerability of your car so it doesn't roll straight anymore. So you want to assume that a lot of this shaking while you're driving is happening. You want to identify, is it happening while you're braking or is it happening while you're driving at speed? And the different speeds you drive can tell you, as a diagnostician, can kind of lead you to what the problem is. So if it's happening during braking, it's a high probability you're having an issue with either your brake rotors or your brake drums, that they're out of round. So those need to be addressed by a professional. Those really aren't going to be something you're going to be able to do at the house. If your vibration is steady at speed, when does it happen? Does it happen as you accelerate? Does it happen while you're steady at a certain speed? Does it happen as you lift your foot off the gas and you coast? All of those aspects of when the vibration happens help somebody identify.
Can I ask a question
Sure.
in here?
Yeah.
So I remember a day a long time ago that we could pull the drums or the rotors off and take them up to high-low, and they would grind them up there and make them straight again. Do they still offer that?
Absolutely, still can.
So you can do it at home.
You can. You still need some special tools to do it, because if you're doing rear brakes, you've got to have all of those tools that let you lever all of those springs off. If you're doing front brakes, and you figured this out the other day when you were working on the Challenger, is you need some special tools to do the brake to get the calipers off so you can squeeze the piston back in to put the brake pads back on. You need some special tools to get the the rotors off as well.
Okay.
But now when they go to turn rotors, they don't turn them near as much as they used to, right?
No, in a lot of cases, especially on a lot of the European cars, you just go buy new ones. Days like my 1970, there was a lot of extra metal on the rotor, so they could resurface the rotor. In that, because there was enough metal that it was designed to be able to cut some off. A lot of today's cars, as they're trying to reduce the weight of the vehicle,
That's an extra $200 if I don't have to spend them.
Well, but in a lot of cases, those brake rotors are under $100.
I bought them for $60 or less.
You can get some brake rotors for your Corvette at Napa for about $27, and a lot of guys that do track days will do that. They'll put new rotors on every day for track day.
Guess what? I'm out.
So, but one of those common causes of those vibrations is tire balance. And tire balance, or lack thereof, theoretically, is where that vibration generally comes in about the 40-mile-an-hour range, and it's pretty steady. And then as you speed up, it kind of goes away, and then it'll phase back in about 55 or 60 miles an hour. And a skilled technician can kind of sit in the car and experience the vibration and literally tell you, is it the front tires, which means the vibrations in your hands and the steering wheel, or it's the rear tires where the steering wheel isn't vibrating, but the seat is vibrating.
Wow.
And you can also identify left side or right side. But I'm going to tell you, if you're going to get your tires balanced, get all four of them balanced. And then there's a level of balance that you can do that's going to match the tire to the rim, called road force balancing. Road force balancing is nice if you really want a super smooth ride. It's a lot more expensive than regular balancing, but if you have that level of a car, you definitely want to go with a road force
Do they
balance.
still have the spin balance machines that you'd set on the floor and push it around like a lawnmower and put it up underneath the tire? And the guy would have put it in neutral and spin that tire to look like 100 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, you'd pull the electric motor up to it.
Do they still have that?
I haven't seen one of those in a long time. I used to use one of those, and you would attach the hub to it, and the hub would adjust the weight and the position of the weight.
That thing was scary.
It was very scary. The way I'd do it is I'd lean my head against the hood or against the fender, and you'd feel the vibration as you make the adjustment on the hub. Yeah, those are.
That's right. That weight flew off and went right through.
One time too many.
No, now they take the tire off and do a spin balance off of the car, or as they're mounting your tires and giving you new tires, they'll do a spin
They get like
balance
an
and put it back
enclosed
on.
machine
Yeah,
to put it
they'll
in.
kind of
But
trap
the
it in.
real good way to do it is the way that I described,
no, you're right.
because it also balances all the
rotor,
moving parts.
all of the moving parts. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's really the true way to balance it. One of the other ways that you can have an imbalance in the car is an imbalance in the drive shaft as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the drive shaft imbalance happens at a different speed. Typically, the drive shaft imbalance you're going to feel below 30, and then you're not going to feel again until above 70. So, taking it to a skilled technician to identify correctly what you need to balance is pretty important.
Thank you, sir. So, I've got a great feature that I want to do that's coming up next. It's a distracted driving feature, and it's got some actual surprising percentages about distracted driving. I found it fascinating, and I think that you will too, so stay up for that. Hey, if you're a member of a car club, we'd like to put your group on our car club spotlight. All you got to do is shoot us an email with the contact information to info@inwheeltime.com. Distracted driving next.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's the In Wheel Time Show. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're on until noon Central live, and then, of course, podcasts and all that other stuff. So I want to do a little thing. I ran across this. It's actually sent to me through the Zebra communications team. Don't ask me how they got my name and number, but, you know, they've got it not only, obviously, at the Zebra, but they've got it in police stations across America. Anyway. So here's the story, and here was the lead into it. Many Americans hitting the roads over the skies this summer due to the coronavirus pandemic in the U.S. As the weather warms, places start to reopen. Drivers traveling America's highways and byways, all increasing volumes. With the heavier traffic comes the increased risk of accidents and distracted driving. Currently in now the 100 deadliest days of driving, this period from basically Memorial Day through Labor Day, and it's more important than ever to be aware of distraction. So I'm going to kind of go through these quickly, and I don't want to belabor.
Yeah, I don't want to distract you.
How distracted driving increases insurance rates. In 2011, a driver cited for distracted driving would only pay about 0.4% more for car insurance than a driver with a clean driving record. Now a distracted driving violation raises rates an average of 23%, a penalty increase of 7,040% since 2011. Who is the number one that is really up there as far as tickets cost? Connecticut is number one with a 64% increase. The average rate for a violation now is $2,780.
Whoa!
So where does Texas fall into that?
It sounds like a revenue generator for Connecticut.
Oh, big time. Yeah, they're really serious. So Texas ranks number 49, okay? And we only have an increase of 9% here, so it went from $1,415 to $1,538, an increase of $122. Not bad, huh? So
not good either.
But it's not good either. All right. Here's one. They asked 2,600 people if they send out text messages, read notifications, adjust the radio, check social media, and more during a typical 30-minute drive. Maximum score was 100. These are the averages per city. Number 1 was New York at 43.7%.
That's all?
Guess where?
There's a lot of liars in that.
Guess where Houston is? 5th. 37.5% of drivers are distracted.
There's still a lot of liars in that.
Here's something. I thought this. Ever done any of the following while driving? So they asked 2,600 Americans.
Are you asking me? I drive a company car.
Read
No.
something on a phone or other device, 58%. Texting, 56%. Pick your nose, 47.2%.
Is that distracted?
Eating a full meal, 35.9%. Kiss someone, 27%. Put on or taken off clothing, 26.8%.
While you're kissing someone?
Engaged in sexual activity.
See, all three of them together.
Engaged in sexual activity, 14.9%. Smacked someone in the car, 12.4%. Popped a pimple, 10.5%. Vomited, 7%.
More people are having sex in a car than are popping pimples.
We need to write some of this down.
A look at average distraction scores for different groups by gender. Men, 35.7%. Women, 35.4%. Imagine that. Education and distracted driving. College graduate, 36.2%. No college, 30%. By generation. Baby boomers, those 56 to 74, 24%. Gen X, 40 to 55, 32%. Millennials, 24 to 39, 37%.
Yeah, it's gonna climb.
And Gen Z, 18 to 23, 37.9%. Risky behaviors. Chronic speeders. Driving more than 10 miles an hour over the limit all the time. Raise your hand. Look at these two. Look at these two. I'm not in that.
Oh! Liar, liar.
Yeah,
Pants
let's
on
go
fire.
over here. There's some lightning out there, and they'll able to come through the ceiling here any minute.
Drive more than 10 miles an hour over the limit all the time or often is 45.5%. Rarely or never, 28.8%. And finally, how we rationalize using smartphones while driving. It's okay. I've got to do something here, so give me just a moment. This
Got to set this up with sound
We're
effect.
going because we're going to go into the top of the hour here, and I need to make sure that I'm ready for that because I need to be ready. Because based on what I've discovered so far,
distracted.
It's distracted soundboarding here. Well, the other thing about distracted driving that drives me crazy is so many people stop to read something at a red light or a stop sign, and then when it turns green, they're still reading. So I'm generally I honk at them.
Are you serious?
Oh yes.
You honk at them.
Sure.
Even though you're one of the
I don't read
scofflaws.
You can't
I don't
drive
read a lot.
10 miles an hour over the speed limit all the time if you're stopped at a red light. Well, somebody's reading
Sir,
something.
anything that you say when it comes to this, I'm not believing any of it. I know you, Mike Mars. You can't fool a fooler.
Yeah. Joseph Pledger online says that 10 miles an hour is just the flow of traffic on Beltway 8.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Get out on Interstate 10 at 5 o'clock in the morning, and you better be in the slow lane if that's what you're doing.
Okay, how we rationalize using smartphones while driving. It's okay if I use a speakerphone or a hands-free system. Percentage who agreed with that? 81.7%. It's okay to use my phone while driving for directions or navigation. 64.3%. I know I shouldn't use my phone while driving, but I do anyway. 62.9%.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay to use my phone at stop signs or red lights. 60.9%. I can text without taking my eyes off of the road.
You can't.
30.3% said they could. It's okay to use my phone when there are no other cars around. 25%.
I'm surprised that's that low.
I use my phone because I get bored while driving.
Oh, gosh. That's scary.
23.2%.
Well, and a lot of the interactive systems, the cars, the voice commands, it can tell it to read
you can
your
do
text.
that. I mean, you're still losing the thought process of driving, even though you're not physically doing it. But the thing I wanted to mention, you were talking about using the car for directions and things like that. How many of the OEMs are pushing people to use their phone system for that instead of putting it in the car.
Apple Play, Android interface, so now you can actually put the screen on your phone onto the screen on your car.
But you still got to reach down there and deal with your phone in some cases because you can't use the touch screen on the car to change or do your input of your data. So it's almost like we're creating this distracted driving scenario, but we're telling you, don't be distracted.
Correct.
But let me give you all these things to
distract you. Exactly.
It's kind of like me over here doing all this. Yes, exactly. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and of course it took up all of the time.
That's okay.
It took up all the news headlines, but I got some great ones, and I'm going to get in the next half hour. Well, actually, hour.
We're ready for you.
No,
we're never ready for you.
You think that you're ready for me. No one is ever really ready for me.
We've got some really interesting comments on our Facebook page about that whole segment. That's pretty.
Are
funny.
they repeatable?
Yeah. Well, let's
not do it.
Some of them might not be, but some of them I don't know if I want to own up to either.
That's right. All right. Well, that's it for this hour of the In Wheel Time program. We invite you to stay tuned because starting right now begins hour number 2 or segment 3. From Studio A in Texas, it's hour number 2 of the All Things Automotive Car Talk Show in Wheel Time. Just ahead, summer automotive things to do. We continue our discussion. That'll get the kids involved and get you out of the house. Texas Short Track Racing Series opens tonight at Houston Motorsports Park, and Gina Shile-Knowles is going to join us to find out whether or not it's going to go or no go because of the weather. In our new car showroom is the all-new for 2021 Kia Seltos. Mike is going to take you for a ride on that. And later, our Jeep Trails feature, plus the stories making automotive news this week. All that and more just ahead on the In Wheel Time Car Show. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. We've been having a good time, and we've got another hour of this to go. Are we gonna be able to get through this? Well, while we're waiting for Gina, let's do some of the. I'm sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I think there may be. I was trying to get your attention. There may be some confusion. Gina may not be showing up till 11:30. We did some swapping, and since she's not here at 11, I'm thinking that she's thinking it's 11:30. So I was going to see if maybe Joseph could join us now.
Well, you're asking me?
Well,
is he ready?
No, we're asking Joseph. I just sent him a Facebook.
I was just letting you know what we were doing over here.
Okay.
And we'll get him to join us on Zoom.
Well, we like showing our underpants here on the In Wheel Time show, and we're sorry about that. But
you're not wearing any today, so stay seated.
Do I ever? So while we're waiting for all this to sort itself out, I thought that you would be interested to note, if you didn't know this already, Tesla is zeroing in on an area in southeast Austin for the electric car maker's second U.S. auto factory as Elon Musk prepares to choose a site for production base of the new pickup truck.
He's bailing out of California, and you watch. He's going to leave.
Yep.
He is going to leave.
I did not know that factory that he has in Fremont, I think it is.
The old NUMMI plant.
Yeah.
The joint plant between Toyota and
I didn't realize that.
General Motors.
It was not a built for Tesla plant. It was retrofitted. Anyway, Tesla has filed an application with the Austin area school district in Travis County seeking a tax abatement according to publicly filed documents. Musk announced in March the Silicon Valley-based automaker has begun scouting for sites to produce its Cybertruck, which is still in development. The 4 to 5 million square foot plant would employ 5,000 workers and become Tesla's fourth for vehicle assembly. So I thought that that was worthy of a news story. What do you think?
Yep.
So let's move on to Ford, shall we?
Oh, I'm going to see what you're going to say. I've got one on Ford as well.
This is so good. Ford Motor Company is postponing the reveal of its Bronco SUV by 4 days.
Why?
Amid concerns that its previous unveiling coincided with the birthday of O.J. Simpson.
and hopefully they'll show a white Bronco in the ad.
Oh, my God. In 1994, Simpson was infamously riding in a white Bronco along Los Angeles freeways, being driven by his longtime friend Al Cowlings. Simpson was attempting to flee police as he faced charges of murdering his ex-wife and her friend. O.J.'s birthday, July 9th, happened to be the Bronco's planned reveal date.
That's a bad sense of humor. Somebody had to know that.
Or not. The date
You
is
take
now
some
been
22-year-old kid he's not thinking about
no,
that.
that date has now been moved to July 13th. The automaker was adamant the July 9th date was purely coincidental.
Yeah, right.
Oh, sure.
You know, this is the anniversary of the O.J. Al Cowan's drive down the 405 as well. This week is, what was it, 93 when it happened? So this is the week.
So while we're in the Ford vein, I've got a couple of more Ford stories. Do we have anybody on the line yet?
Well, we got him visually. We're just trying to get all the audio synced up.
Okay, so Ford Motor Company next week will show the next generation of its new F-150 that offers a new sleeper seat feature and over-the-air software updates. The new F-150 accounts for $50 billion in annual revenue at Ford and a significant share of Ford's annual profit. While Tesla and GM have moved faster on over-the-air software upgrades and high-speed in-vehicle data networks, the new F-150 will bring such technology squarely into the mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Okay.
Ford Connected Charge Station wall unit is now available at dealerships for their full EV cars, and they're actually going to connect with Amazon Home Services to get the installations done.
Talk about distracted driving. Here, I need a new pair of shoes while I'm doing 70 down the freeway. Oh, I like that pair. That Ferragamos look really good. Even as Ford expands the Mustang brand with an electric crossover, it's doubling down on its gasoline power heritage by resurrecting one of the most popular badges from the golden era of pony cars. 2021 Mustang Mach-1, slated to go on sale next spring in a limited edition run, is meant to juice sales in the sports car market by appealing to enthusiasts with V8 power. Car will come in 8 colors, including an exclusive fighter jet gray, design cues from the Mach-1, blah, blah, blah. Engine, 480 horsepower, 420 pound-feet of torque. 6-speed manual transmission is standard, although Ford will offer a 10-speed automatic.
Yeah, some of our friends from the Northside Mustang Club were at the reveal this week for the new Mach-1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What?
You weren't invited?
Joseph is ready.
Oh, okay. Well, then since I don't have that sheet I do have that sheet of paper, actually.
Well, get your sheet together.
I'm trying to get my sheet together, but you're just pressuring me to do all of this stuff.
So much pressure.
He's with the Houston Car Meets and Cruisers, and his name is Joseph Pledger. Joseph, hey, a good Saturday morning to you, sir. It's good to see you.
Good morning to y'all, too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. So tell me what Houston Car Meets and Cruisers is.
It's Houston Car Meets and Cruises, and it's a Facebook page. As I've found that a majority of the Houston area events, that's where they get created, and where I've, over the last almost 5 years, have been following the car culture of Houston. And so I track all of the Houston area car, truck, motorcycle events, car shows that go around.
Wow. Well, that's quite a deal, because there's probably 100 of them scheduled for today and tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, there's average probably about 40 events per week. Last year alone, I tracked over, I think, 2,600 events.
Oh my God.
And he keeps a running Joseph keeps a running number on it. His page is what I use for our events information.
Now we know your secret.
Well, but it is a wonderful clearinghouse of information, and people send him information to put up. But he also has a lot of connections with folks that are running meets all the time. It is by far, and there's a couple others out there, hands down the best informational Facebook page about what's going on.
How did you two meet?
I just ran across the site searching for meets in Houston.
Wow. Aren't you glad that you found us?
I am, actually. Yeah. Conrad's a great help on the page, always helping me find meets. He sends me a lot of great information, as well as all the Houston area clubs that I've followed and met various owners and contributors. And, there's been issues within the Houston area in regards to car events. And so the great thing about Houston Car Meets and Cruises is that I do a lot of vetting of who joins the page. We have a little over 5,600 Houstonians.
Oh my!
So
I
bet
snuck it.
that
I
they
snuck
actually
in.
live in Houston or in the greater Houston area. It's everything from Huntsville, to Huntsville, to Beaumont, south to Angleton, and west to Sealy. So I'm covering a very broad range because, again, Houston's big. We have a really big car culture, and a lot of times we get people coming from all over Texas just to come to Houston.
Yeah, well,
So.
we know that. As a matter of fact, the Lone Star Throwdown is one event that happens in February, I believe it is, and that is an event that draws trucks mainly from all over North America.
Correct.
Yeah, and so have you connected up with any of your peers that do this sort of thing, where they collect information in, like, for instance, Dallas or San Antonio or Austin?
There's a lot of other pages that are very broad in their approach to the car scene. I know Texas Show Promoters, they promote shows all over Texas, as long as the event's in Texas. What I found when I started Houston Car Meets and Cruises is that we didn't really have anything that was specific to Houston.
Right.
And it was difficult to find the events on these pages. I mean, unless you feel like you want to, buy 15 different types of wheel repair, batteries, or something else. Houston Car Meets and Cruises is truly only about the events,
right?
And the people.
And Joseph does a wonderful job of keeping the Facebook page what I call clean. It's purely about events and cruises, and kind of, so all of the other conversation doesn't happen on that site, and I think that's a great thing. But one of the new things that as far as events and cruises going on are these birthday events, and I know you've kind of started putting those on the site as well. The what I call the drive-by birthday events since COVID's happened.
Oh yeah.
And there's always 2 or 3 of them up every week, sometimes even more than that. So
now that would be a great way to cruise, and I never thought about that. You don't have to know the person that is the birthday boy or girl, but you just join up the birthday celebration drive-by.
And then Joseph, he'll post up where the staging happens, and then what time the drive-by is going to be. And, it really is just kind of driving by somebody's house. And
but it gets you out of the house. It gives you something to do as well.
Somebody else is going to get something out of it.
And it brings joy to, in a lot of cases, it's a young kid kind of getting them engaged in the car scene as well. So, so how many of those do you post up, Joseph, a week right now?
Right now, it's probably averaging 2 to 3 a week. When we had a lot more of the lockdown, we were seeing 5 to 10 birthday cruises. We've even had some graduation cruises for older kids, just 18th birthdays, and they want to see cars. I actually arranged one for my friend Eric Allen, who is the president of the Crew on Deck group, and his daughter was having an 8th birthday. So we had about 50 to 60 cars show up, as I came from Spring all the way to West Houston. So people are willing to travel, to get out of the house, to have that moment of normalcy,
Well, I have to share with you something I don't think I told you guys. We went down to see a graduation. It was a drive-by graduation for Ball High School in Galveston, and because they couldn't all graduate together, what they did was they lined up all the parents' cars with the kids in the car.
Great
and
idea.
They did a cruise down Seawall Boulevard with the confetti and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
People were all 6 feet apart, but it was great. It was wonderful, and what a great idea that is, the cruise. I'd never thought about that, but
no, I'd like that.
Yeah.
So again, to join Joseph's page, you have to ask permission, and then I don't know what the background of what he looks at on you.
What is it that you look at? My arrest record? Because if that's the case, I don't think that it's going to happen. But whatever.
Well, we asked 3 simple questions. First of all, do you live in the Houston area? And many people, this is public information, so. I look, what does their Facebook profile say, and how do they answer? Of course, we're talking about a wide variety of answers from Santa Fe, San Leon, So typically having to look up some of those smaller cities, but also that, with what's been happening in the car scene with takeovers, it's
Bad
something
behavior.
I don't promote, and I don't want those people. I mean, I get it. It's something that happens, but it doesn't have to be something where I invite those people to the events that I promote. These are family-friendly events that I promote, and there's a lot of them. And the last thing we want is somebody to get hurt.
Right.
So I have the rules on the page. We don't we don't allow selling of any kind. I don't have sponsors. I do this because I love the car community. So I just want them to agree that that's what this page is for, and that there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
Finally, I want to make sure they read the rules. And so I have a join code in the group description. And if they enter that, I know that they've read the rules, or at the very least, maybe they just scrolled to the bottom. I don't know. But at the very, like I said,
they
at
had
least
the
I know that
opportunity.
they're doing their part. Yeah. Yeah, they had the opportunity. And, it's a one shot and you're done. I mean, I don't play games. Most people on the page are great. It's developed into a great community. And, the hosts, I mean, I just track the events. The hosts really deserve the shout out because they're the ones putting on these events, paying money, working time and dedication to get the venues. And we hate to see those venues go. It's been a problem in the Houston area for a while.
And you promote good behavior at shows as well, because I know
Yes.
I've seen more than once a post about behavior at a car show, and here's what you
I
should
think the
follow.
worst thing that I ever did back in my high school, was it high school, junior high, right when I first got, was one of those intersection fire drills. Where everybody gets out of the car. You park the car in the middle of the intersection, get out, and everybody runs around it, gets back in the car, and then they drive off. That's the worst thing that I ever did.
But I know car show etiquette is definitely something that's missing,
right.
And that we need to promote.
Exactly. And I know on your page you've got a couple of Father's Day cruises that are going on tomorrow as well. So if people want to get out there, jump on the page and ask permission and go in and check out and see what's there.
Yeah, so it's Houston Car Meets and Cruises.
Yes, sir.
On Facebook.
Yep.
Joseph, it's great to talk to you, to meet you. You'll be getting a request sometime this weekend from me, so just ignore it, okay?
You're not already on the page? What?
I've sent him the invite about 7 or 8 times.
We taught him last week how to turn his computer on, so he'll be there.
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit slow on the uptake. Great to talk to you, great to meet you, and we hope to see you again soon.
Thanks, Joseph.
Nice.
So, Houston Car Meets and Cruises. Okay, time now for Jeep Trails. No, is it?
Nope.
See, I'm all screwed up, and the reason being is because somebody
Need
screwed
a break.
up.
No, it's because you clipped the paper on the back of your car review.
It isn't, because we had a different guest than was scheduled. So
okay.
That's where that.
All right, so we ought to be doing the new car showroom. How's that?
I got that, but I think that we need to take a break first, and then we're going to do the new car showroom
yes.
with the Kia Seltos, so stay with us.
Okay.
Man, I love my kids so much. I once sat for 3 hours in the cold rain to watch her soccer team lose by 18 goals.
I love my kids so much, I once used a tube to suck snot out of her stuffed nose at 3 a.m.
You win.
Love your kids? Love them enough to make sure they're in the right car seat. From toddlers to tweens, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to find the right seat for their age and size. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A social distancing tip.
While the CDC urges you to avoid close contact, like hugging or shaking hands, there are other non-physical ways to say hello. Wave, wink, use sign language, salute, smile, give the peace sign, throw up an air high five, do jazz hands. Remember, stay a minimum of 6 feet or 2 arms length away from others, and stay home if you can. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hey, a reminder that the In Wheel Time Car Show streams live on Facebook.com, In Wheel Time, on YouTube, and our website, InWheelTime.com. Podcasts available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeart Podcasts, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. And I'm sure if there's a dozen more, we probably could figure that out too. A time for a Kia Seltos review in the new car showroom. Mr. Mars has that.
Yes, sir. We're talking about the 20. A IVT. Now, this is what is called an intelligent variable transmission. Now, this is kind of like a CVT, but it mimics traditional automatic transmissions. So it gives you a little more of what you might be a little more comfortable as far as a transmission feel go, and it shifts. That's what it does. Now, the EPA says you should be looking for 27 miles per gallon in the city, 31 out on the highway, and 29 miles per gallon combined. Now, for the week that I had it, I got around 27 and a half, but we were around town most of the time. Comes in 3 drive modes. You can choose between a normal, a smart, and a sport. Now, again, this is a small vehicle, but it's got a very spry feeling when you're driving it around, particularly around in the city. But it also easily moves into freeway traffic because it's got enough power because of the size of the vehicle to do that. It would be interesting to drive one of the turbos and see just exactly what they would do with a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, but that's another vehicle for another time. If you're looking for something to compare it to, you might look at the Hyundai Kona starting at $20,300, or even the Nissan Rogue, which is a new one out, at $23,240 for a starting price. But you can get a base Seltos for $23,240 with a lot of nice stuff that comes standard on it. Or you can step up to the EX in the all-wheel drive version that we are driving for a base price of $25,290. Now, the MSRP as tested for this particular vehicle is $26,885, and I would be remiss if I didn't remind you that it comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty on this vehicle. So there's a lot of warranty there for a lot of these features if you're looking for a small, compact SUV in an all-wheel drive package. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And that's my review of the new 2021 Seltos.
Very good. Thank you, sir. We've got more of the In Wheel Time show right after this.
Are you ready for NASCAR Houston? NASCAR's Short Track Racing Series is coming to Houston Motorsports Park this Saturday night as Advance Auto Parts presents Back to the Track 2020. The Texas Short Track racers are going to light up the pavement, and you can be there to see all the action up close and personal. And how does $1 beers, Cokes, and hot dogs sound? We're following all CDC guidelines, and we have extra sanitizing options on hand. Don't miss the NASCAR action this Saturday night. Visit NASCARHouston.com for details.
911, what's your emergency?
There's a train that just hit a car.
Sir, what is your location? Look around for a street sign, sir.
It's 8th and Orchard. 8th and Orchard.
Okay, very good. 8th and Orchard. Sir, help is on the way.
Why would he do that? The train still hasn't stopped. You have to get there now.
At a railway crossing, even if the engineer sees you and hits the brakes, it can take a mile for the train to stop. And for you, that's too late. Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
It's the In Wheel Time show coming to you live right now, anyway, this Saturday. We're live every Saturday, as a matter of fact, from 10 a.m. until noon Central Time. And we thank you for joining us. We also, somehow, some way, it magically reappears on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know how all that happens. Mars can fill you in, but you'll have to call him.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know either.
I'll make something up.
He's going to fudge it. Somehow, some way, it all happens. But live 10 to noon Saturdays, right here wherever you're watching us, and don't forget the podcast too.
Mm-hmm. So you can break it up while you're driving in the car to 30-minute segments and kind of listen to us laugh and giggle and have a good time and tell you what's going on.
Going to have some news next week about that too, about our podcast.
Uh-oh. Got something special happening.
I'm going to share something next week.
You can't do that to me.
That's the tease.
Yes, I can, because I just did it.
God. All right, so moving on, let's do the car calendar and the racing calendar. And right up front is the racing calendar, because tonight is the night we
Texas
hope.
Short Track Asphalt Series.
Texas Short Track Racing
Series. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
That's okay.
Houston Motorsports Park, which is Beltway 8 and North Houston Parkway and turn
up there,
east.
Yeah, it's out there right to the south end of Lake Houston. And great facility, easy to get to off of 99.
Right.
Yeah.
Easy getting in, easy getting out. Yeah. They do a wonderful job. There's going to be, weather permitting, and it looks like the weather's going to be permitting. There'll be a great turnout tonight.
Well, let's hope that the weather permits. Gina's going to supposedly join us here in just a few minutes, so we'll try to get an update from her.
And then 4th of July, lots of other racing is coming back finally. So IndyCars is going to be running the Grand Prix of Indianapolis.
But there's nobody in the stands.
I know. It's about. I think a lot of this is about TV revenue generation.
That's it. How much money they've lost.
Right.
Follow the money.
So this is where they run the old Formula One course at Indy, so they kind of run around backwards and through the
Is
infield.
it the Indy cars?
It's the Indy cars, but it's a road course set up at Indy, which is what they did with F1 back in the day, and then so Formula One starts July 4th, and that's going to be the Red Bull Ring in Austria, and then the following weekend.
Wait a minute, the Red Bull Ring.
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
Well, it's the name of the track. The Red Bull, the Austria Ring.
It's not the Nürburgring.
No. But a lot of those tracks over in Europe have ring in the name, like ring. Avon calling. So,
ring-a-ding-ding.
But this is that specific track, and it's actually owned by Red Bull, the same team, the same company that.
It's not sponsored, but owned.
Right. That track is owned by Red Bull, and they also own an Formula One team. You talk about some big money. NASCAR tomorrow is running at Talladega Superspeedway. The following weekend is going to be Pocono, and they are beginning to let fans in the stands at NASCAR. IMSA opens up its series next week, or July 4th weekend at Daytona. Well, it's not opening. They started back in February, but everything's been closed. Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Raceway on July 12th is the return of NHRA as they go into trying to fill up the schedule of what they had to do. And then Houston SCCA is going to be down at Gulf Greyhound Park. They're down there this morning, but they're going to be back down there again in July.
But they're not racing on the dog track. They're racing in the parking lot.
They're racing in the park. They put cones up, and it's timed racing.
Wouldn't you just love to have a little go-kart on that dog track and have that thing sideways around that dog track?
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather it be on a smaller
Drifting.
track. That dog track might be a little bit big.
No, it's not. That dog track would,
it'd be a hoot. It'd be a hoot.
Yeah.
So, and then, events coming. Kima Cruise is every night. July 26th, we talked to Troy about the Twin Peaks meet. Autos still isn't up and running. Nifty 50s is.
Well, we don't want to talk what's not. Right?
I know. So, but other stuff, if you go pay attention to Joseph Pledger's
Yeah, just going to
page,
say, Good up Joseph's
you can
page.
find all of it.
Hey, a reminder that if you're a member of a car, truck, or Jeep club, you can put your group in our car club spotlight. Just email the club's information and contact name and number, and we'll take it from there. Email address is info@inwheeltime.com. We're back after a quick break.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the-right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the-right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Is your business or company looking to stand out in a crowded advertising market? Looking to reach the real auto enthusiast? Well, you found it. You're listening or watching In Wheel Time, and so are your fellow enthusiasts. The In Wheel Time Car Show now reaches 500,000, and we can put together a marketing plan that will engage them in your product, business, or service. To get the tires rolling, just shoot us an email to our marketing director, Jeff Zekin. His address is jeff@inwheeltime.com. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the In Wheel Time Show here on the In Wheel Time Network.
Network. I like that.
Well, it's a network of
social media platforms.
Every social media platform that there is, and we're networking here today.
Wow, we're moving up in the
So
world.
there's a lot of networking going on. Anyway, it's In Wheel Time, the most popular live weekly award-winning car talk show on a Saturday morning. Along with Mike Out of This World Mars and King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us, and we're hoping that Gina Shell Knowles will be joining us very soon because.
Gina, you're up. Get on Zoom if you're watching.
She's out of track, so
that's a problem because what? I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, we had that last week or the week before as well.
Yeah.
But
well,
hey,
it is racing.
That's the fun of going to a track, isn't it?
So here's a little thing that I ran across. This is from Hemmings Motor News.
Oh, I get that. I get those. They have some good stuff.
I know. They do have some good stuff. And so, anyway, this week, an article by Scott Oldham appeared, and it's the 10 greatest performance cars of the 1960s.
Okay.
The 10 for a decade.
Yeah, 10 for 10.
I have a couple in my head.
All right.
I would say a Ford Thunderbolt should be in there.
So you want to write them down, and you just want to give them off the top of your head.
I would say a Ford Thunderbolt should be in there. There was a Pontiac, what they called a Swiss cheese car, which was it was actually the frame was drilled out to reduce weight from it. Any assortment of the Hemis that were out there, the L88 Corvettes, the Copo Camaros. Probably a 428 Mustang, maybe a Boss 429. I think 69 was the first year for that.
Now, I did not say strictly American cars.
Oh.
I just said performance cars.
So now it's going to bring in.
So let's go through this.
Let's see what you got.
Okay,
Go.
ready?
Yeah.
The 1962 Shelby Cobra.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
By far.
Yeah.
Which was really an AC. It was a British car that Shelby just stuck a big motor in.
Exactly.
You know. And the original one was a 260 V8, and then it went to a 289 V8, and then it moved up to.
It didn't start with that, did it?
Yeah, the first car they had the 260 V8 in.
That's right, 260. Yeah. Okay, here's one. The 1961 Jaguar E-Type.
Definitely. You know, even Enzo Ferrari said that was the most beautiful car ever made.
He said that?
Yes.
I did not know that.
I don't know if he meant it, but he said it.
He said it. Speaking of Ferrari,
he was drinking.
The 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO.
Okay.
I've heard of that, but I've never even actually seen one. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say that would be.
It's typical 60s stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but these are
but the GTO and the XKE had some similarities with that real long nose.
Well, there is another.
And the short
There
back.
is another one that is a GTO. The 1965 Pontiac GTO.
Without a doubt.
389, 3 deuces.
Yep.
Yeah.
Change
I've
the
actually
industry.
driven one of those.
Have you
Yes.
really?
It was a long time ago, but
Now,
I actually drove one.
Isn't that the one where basically it ran on the center two barrel,
right?
And then you opened it up halfway throttle, and then the other
Kinda-
4 barrels would
Yeah,
join
it
in.
was kind of a progressive
Yeah, they
linkage.
call it
is what
progressive linkage. So you
Kinda
ran
like-
on a 2-barrel, and then when you went wide open throttle.
Kind of like the original Corvair that I had that had the 4 1-barrels. It ran off of 2 until you got to half throttle. Then the other 2 kicked in.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And the Pontiac was a linkage progression. Some other manufacturers that did 3 2-barrels did a vacuum progression. So as the vacuum fell, those other
I think that's
carburetors
the way
would start working.
Dodge did it, I think.
Yeah, I can't remember, and I'd hate to say.
Their
yeah, the
six-pack setup.
What else?
The 1965 Shelby GT 350.
Oh, the white one with the blue stripes, without a doubt. You know, that was another market changer because that was the start of the pony car wars.
Yep.
Yes, it was. 65.
And I driven a 67. I actually owned a 67 350.
You did?
Sold it to buy my first house, and I've kicked myself in the butt ever since.
Yeah, because now
my ex-wife still has that house.
I was going to say that car now is worth more than the house.
Absolutely.
Let's go to Germany. The 1966 Porsche 911S.
Okay. Small engine compared to today, quite underpowered. But again, you know, you look at the Porsche 911, that body style, because it originated as a 912 with the 4-cylinder, goes back to the very early 60s, and it still has a family
Basically the same
resemblance
thing.
today. Yeah.
The 1967 Chevrolet Corvette Stingray.
With a Stinger hood. For me, a black one with a red Stinger hood and L88 under the hood. And a 4-speed, without
Agreed.
a doubt.
1967 Ford GT40 Mark III.
Yes, but that was such a track car that it was a world beater. But as a car to drive every day, it was a beater.
Car.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Jeff said Mercedes Gullwing.
That's 50s. The Gullwing would have been mid-50s. The 300 SL.
The 1968 Lamborghini Miura.
Without a doubt. My dentist had one when I was a little kid. Took me for a ride in it. The odd thing, not odd, but the unique, I was paying for it. That had a V12 that was mounted sideways in the rear of the car.
Oh, that's right. Yes. I do remember that oddball
was
thing.
Considered to be one of the first production supercars was the Miura. What a stunningly beautiful car.
Yeah.
And I was a little kid, went for a ride, and really had no understanding of what I was driving in.
Do I need to go outside and call Gina?
Well, you can call her right now. You don't have to go outside and call her. Mike's been in a conversation with her.
Well, you know, I got a feeling that there may be some questions that are trying to be answered before noon as to whether or not to postpone tonight's race.
Well, I think, yeah.
Because of the weather forecast.
Hopefully somebody's paying attention to a radar map. But in Houston, the radar map doesn't mean much because stuff just pops up out of the middle of nowhere.
Well, in the middle of the heat of the afternoon.
Right.
So,
and it looks like the storms that we saw earlier have moved away, but there's a couple of things building up south of us down in the Palacios area, so that may move through.
Why don't we do this? We always, every week, we have our Jeep Trails and Ram Tracks features, and it's time now for In Wheel Time's weekly look into the world of Jeeping, and we call it Jeep Trails, and Mr. Mars always has that for us.
I saw something on the road the other day, and I
Dead?
No. I had to go home and find out what this was. I pulled up to a red light, and there was a Jeep Wrangler in front of me, and on the rear spare tire there was this thing hanging out there, and it's kind of like a trunk cargo organizer that people have had for years. But this mount, you can
looks like a backpack.
It does, and you can strap it to that tire there, and you can get 2 or 3 different configurations. But you can use it for stashing some tools. You can use it for ropes if you're off road. All kinds of different things that you can put in there. You could even use it for a trash bag. And I just thought that was so unique. That's such a wasted space back there on top of that spare tire. So why not?
Yeah, and you
put
wouldn't want to
something-
load it up too much because there's always already a bunch of weight on that, just the tire itself.
Oh, yeah. But, I mean, and it's got several different compartments where you can put keys and, if you're out and about, tools and sunglasses, all
Makes
kinds
it
of
easier
things.
to get to if you're out off-roading.
Jeff said something about handcuffs and duct tape. I'm sure we could squeeze that in there as well.
Well, I'm looking on the list of things that it suggests, and I don't see that on this particular website. But
Jeff always has some with him.
I'm sure that.
Yeah, he's got them in the back of the Cadillac.
So I thought that was a pretty cool storage solution there.
Okay. Very nice. All right. Well, I'm going to have the Mystery Garage is coming up.
Cool.
And I thought, well, I'm going to do something different this week with the Mystery Garage.
Oh, that's scary.
It is, isn't it? Especially after Jeff brought up handcuffs and duct tape. But that's not anything to do with the Mystery Garage today. But I thought it would be interesting, and we're going to get to that here in just a minute. Are you good with that?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Does that meet your approval, Mr.?
Anything you do meets my approval there, Big Don.
Anything.
I heard that.
You heard it first here on the In Wheel Time Show.
We have it in recorded.
Doesn't mean I'm going to sit still for it, but you have my approval.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. We've got more of the In Wheel Time online show, including the Mystery Garage, right after this.
Houston race enthusiasts, NASCAR is coming to town June 20th for an event you won't want to miss. Join race fans at Houston Motorsports Park, where Advance Auto Parts presents Back to the Track 2020. Watch the Texas short track racers burn up the track while you enjoy dollar hot dogs, beers, and sodas. With appropriate health and safety measures in place, all you need to worry about is whether your favorite racer captures the checkered flag. Learn more at NASCARHouston.com. That's NASCARHouston.com.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Nobody's even said anything about my music.
Well, we did earlier. I was talking about the techno heavy metal.
Listen to this.
Mars was headbanging.
Listen to this.
Is this something off of Roadhouse or something?
It could be.
Good movie.
I'm not saying.
Very good movie.
That's
I
what I'm
love that
thinking.
movie. I stop and watch that when I pass it on the channels.
Oh, Lord. Hey, if you'd like to get in touch with us here at In Wheel Time, always you can shoot us an email. The address is info@inwheeltime.com. Okay, time now for this week's inside the mystery garage. Back here. It's back here. Back there. See?
Back over there.
There it is.
We got to fix the shot so we can see where your arm's
There's
pointing.
the mystery garage back there. So inside this week's mystery garage is going to be a 2-car garage with a lift in it.
Smart.
Nice.
Okay, because I've always wanted, 1, how much does a lift cost? And 2, can I actually get 2 cars in a regular 2-car garage? What has it got, a 10-foot ceiling?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Carefully.
There is the picture. Now, notice that he does have a Corvette that is not really height challenged. So there is that. But he's got a 69 Camaro sitting on top of it.
And your heart beats fast looking.
In a regular 2-car garage. What has it got, a 10-foot ceiling?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Carefully.
There is the picture. Now, notice that he does have a Corvette.
They may be $10,000 a piece. So at this level, because you don't need as sturdy a lift as you do to work on a car. The only other thing I would add to this would be what I would call a diaper. So between the 2 ramps that your tires drive on, you put basically a catch-all so that any liquids from the above car can't leak onto the undercar.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that can be done relatively
But the other
cheap
nice
as
thing
well.
about this is then you don't have to get the floor jack in the driveway in 100-degree heat. Jack it up, and you got about that much room to squeeze your head underneath there.
Yeah, it gives you something to work on as well. You get get the cars off.
And you get one of those little bitty short roll-around stools
with the wheels
and man,
on the bottom.
I'm there all day long. I can handle that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I don't know. I would imagine that it would. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Jeff's question is,
width.
what about the length? The width. Well, the width.
The
too.
width, car track widths are relatively
The same,
consistent.
yeah.
The length is going to vary. Depends on, I don't know.
You're not going to put a half-ton pickup truck, a new one.
Well, you wouldn't because of ceiling clearance, and you might not be able to fit a 1973 Cadillac Coupe de Ville on it either. But but I'm sure there are lifts that you could.
Maybe the Brougham would fit.
Well, you think about those cars back then, and they were fitting them in the garages that you can't barely fit your normal car in today. How did they do that?
Well, it's
you just parked it outside.
difference in the size of it. Well, like my garage, I don't have a 10-foot ceiling. But
what do you have? Do you have a ceiling?
Yeah, I've got a ceiling in there. But what I was thinking about was the metal buildings that you see going up. People are using it commercially. I mean, that has gotten so cheap.
Oh, yeah.
That you could go in there and actually the cost of the concrete would be the expense. But if you had the land to put in a shop or metal building and then put one of those inside of it, that would be awesome.
And with that, we would like to invite any of our listeners, if you have a garage that you would like featured on Mystery Garage, drop us a line at info@inwheeltime.com. Yeah. Send us a few pictures and some information. We're not going to tell people where it is or give them the combination of the door, but we're always looking for interesting garages to show people, whether it's your collection of cars or your collection of memorabilia.
Let's take a quick break, and we're going to do automotive history and this week's auto news. That's coming up right after this.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Texas Truck Works is your go-to truck customizer. From mild-to-wild lift kits, custom wheels, and steering and handling enhancements to the best personal and commercial wraps, Texas Truck Works delivers. Let Texas Truck Works founder Scott Stevens help you get the most out of your truck or Jeep. Texas Truck Works has decades of customizing experience, including power adders and complete engine swaps. Let the Texas Truck Works team design an upgrade plan that fits your budget. Get truck attitude today at TexasTruckWorks.com.
Okay, so welcome back to In Wheel Time, by the way. And time now for This Week in Automotive History. And I have to tell you that I really like this segment.
Oh, well, cool.
I do. Do you like doing it?
It's good researching it because, I get that, I didn't know that all the time.
Or I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you might remember this one, Don. Ford Motor Company was officially incorporated in 1903.
Yeah, I remember that. Vividly. Just like yesterday.
The headlines.
So the cost to incorporate Ford Motor Company in 1903 was $28,000. And, Henry Ford owned all the patents and knowledge and his engine patents and stuff. So way cheaper than I thought. And I think there was 10 people involved that were involved in the ownership of it, but Henry having the majority stake and continues to have
his
to be family
yeah.
owned. Yeah. In Pepsi is as well.
Go ahead, please go ahead. We can't hear him.
In and it's staying on the Ford thing. In 1924, Ford Motor Company manufactured its 10 millionth Model T.
Don't they have that in the museum?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
And you think about Model Ts and, how cool and how collectible. They made 10 million of them. There's still a bunch of them out there. They're not actually, to buy one, they're really not that expensive. You can buy a nice one for well under 20 grand.
What's a
driver car?
A nice one, a Model T?
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can't hardly drive them on public roads much because the speeds.
I was just going to say, what do they do, 30?
Yeah, but still, you can buy a fully driver's, well-restored Model T.
I think you need to buy one of those.
Not
trade in the
happen.
Oldsmobile, and you go get that.
Not going to happen. Okay. Leon Duray drove his Miller 91 Packard.
I thought it was Duryea.
No, different. No, Duryea that's the guy.
He was a cowboy.
This guy Duray is his name.
He drove in 1928 a Packard to a closed course record of 148 miles an hour. Now you're talking about the tall, skinny tired wood wheel. This actually had wire wheels on it. At 150 miles an hour in 1928.
That would have been something that I would have done in 1928.
Tell me to hold on tight. The same car, he set a lap record at Indianapolis at 124 miles an hour 2 weeks earlier. And that was before Indy got any banking. So, back in the day, those guys were nuts going that fast in a car. They didn't have seat belts. I think they barely had helmets. I think the only reason they wore those leather helmets was so if a bird or a bug hit them at those speed, it wouldn't hurt.
Didn't want to mess up their hair.
And then
if you got it.
I'm going to tell the year, and you do your own math. In 1940, friend of the show, and we've had her on 3 or 4 times now. Shirley Muldowney, the first lady of drag racing, was born in Schenectady, New York. She was the first woman to receive the license to drive a top fuel dragster by the NHRA, and she was a 3-time champion in 1977, 1980, and 1982.
Yes.
So, again, this week in automotive history. In 1949, NASCAR staged its first NASCAR race in Charlotte. So that was kind of the beginning of all of the NASCAR frenzy that still goes on today. In 1978, I don't know why there was so much Ford stuff this week. In 1978, Ford Motor Company chairman Henry Ford fired who?
O.J. Simpson.
No, I think they hired him then. They fired
Lee Iacocca?
Fired Lee Iacocca, the man who brought the Mustang to market.
Yeah.
And it went on to, I think, even greater fame in Chrysler and helping Chrysler recover from its disasters.
Okay.
And then in 1986, legendary driver Richard Petty makes his 1,000th NASCAR start in Brooklyn, Michigan.
We got headlines coming up right after this.
A crying baby is impossible to ignore, but a quiet baby can be easy to forget. Every year, dozens of children lose their lives because otherwise attentive adults forgot they were in the back seat. It only takes a moment for a car to heat up to dangerous levels, even on cooler days. So get in the habit of always looking in the back seat and use reminders to ensure baby is always with you. Where's baby? Look before you lock. Paid for by NHTSA.
Social distancing slows the spread of coronavirus, so stay a minimum of 6 feet away from others and stay home if you can. More info at coronavirus.gov. Let's all do our part, because we're all #AloneTogether. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Okay, welcome back to the In Wheel Time Show. We're kind of wrapping things up here, needless to say, because we're running out of time. And time is of such a importance in our lives.
It's on our side.
It's not on our side, as a matter of fact, at all. But at any rate, I did have a couple of more stories left over that I didn't get to in the news.
Okay.
Fiat Chrysler said several of its North American plants will not have summer shutdowns this year in order to meet strong consumer demand. The plants will remain open through the summer build vehicles such as the Ram 1500, the Jeep Wrangler, the Gladiator, and Dodge's muscle cars, which is, I guess, that's always good news. What do you say?
Wait till you mic me up. Have you looked at car dealers' lots right now? They're empty if it wasn't for used cars.
People are buying cars.
I know.
We talked to the Emmons brothers.
Yeah. Well, even talking to Mac last week,
Yeah. People are buying cars, and they're not making cars, so there's fixing to be a shortage.
Here's something that was kind of surprising. Tesla is delivering Model Y crossovers to customers with significant defects, including loose seat belts and back seats that are not attached to the base, according to a report by the blog Electric. The issues have prompted some buyers to refuse delivery of their vehicles, the report said, at a time when Tesla is attempting to boost numbers with an end-of-quarter push. Electric cited a Tesla owner in Maryland who attempted to pick up a Model Y last week but refused delivery because of several issues, including paint and trim problems, indentations in the seats, odd, and loose seat belts, as well as an unattached back seat.
Some of that stuff's going to be a recall. I mean, some of those things are safety issues. The way seats are retained and seat belts.
Of all the things you wouldn't think Tesla, especially guy that makes rockets, that be that kind of an issue. But at any rate, I guess there is, as there is in everything that we make. Well, we're almost out of time for this show, but next week I did want to remind everybody that we're going to have a Jeep show. And we hope that you like it, because even if you're not a Jeep person, I think that you'll really appreciate what we've got working for you for next week. We're going to have Jim Morrison on.
The head of Jeep.
The head of Jeep. He's going to be on. We're going to talk about the Jeep lifestyle, all things Jeep. So when you see one going down the street, it's probably going to change your opinion.
And we're going to teach you the proper Jeep wave.
Is that what it is?
No, that's not what it is. That's an improper Jeep wave.
Okay. That's it for today's In Wheel Time Car Show. When you're on Facebook, please give us a like and tell your friends about us. You'll get Conrad's unicorn hunting features along with all things automotive all week long. The In Wheel Time Car Show streams on Facebook.com/InWheelTime, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeart Podcast, Google Podcast, and Podcast Addict. Special thanks to all of our guests today, even those that didn't show up.
Gina.
The In Wheel Time Chief Engineer is the fabulous David Ainsley. Our Video and Sales Director is Man About Town Jeffrey Zekin. This piece of mayhem produced, written, and directed by Don Armstrong. I'm sorry. For booking agent and podcast massager, Mike Out of This World Mars, and His Highness King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong saying so long for now. And we hope you'll join us live next Saturday and every Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon Central Time, right here on the Magic Mirror Network. Thanks for being part of the In Wheel Time family. Enjoy your weekend. Be fabulous. Happy Father's Day. Wash those nasty hands and stay sanitary like you know you want to. See you tonight, Houston Motorsports Park.